Back on record at 2:51 p.m. Please continue.
At some point around 2015 or 2016, did LuLaRoe experience an increase in defective clothing?
I don't recall.
If LuLaRoe had experienced an increase in defective clothing, how would have that affected your job at LuLaRoe?
Calls for speculation, lacks foundation. Go ahead and answer if you're able.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
In general, how, as VP of Sales, how does defective clothing affect brand?
Same objection.
Let me try again. In your role as VP of Sales, is part of your role the branding of LuLaRoe merchandise and creating the LuLaRoe brand?
No.
Okay. Whose job at LuLaRoe is it to focus on branding?
Marketing.
Marketing is led by Justin Lyon, is that right?
Currently by Lauren Simpson.
Okay. And so Justin reports to Lauren?
Yes.
Prior to Lauren joining, who handled branding at LuLaRoe?
Justin Lyon.
Are you aware of anyone else who played a role in branding at LuLaRoe aside from Justin Lyon and Lauren Simpson?
Justin's team.
Do you know who Justin's direct reports are?
No.
Is there anyone who worked on your team who also worked at any point on Justin's team?
No.
So I want to go back to tracking retail. Earlier you talked about LuLaRoe's capability of tracking retail sales to consumers. And so I just want to make sure I have a correct understanding of when LuLaRoe was able to track retail sales to consumers. So in 2013, did LuLaRoe make any effort to track retail sales to consumers?
Okay, just so we're clear, earlier you were saying that the definition of consumers was retailers.
Sorry.
So now you're talking about end-user consumers?
End users, sorry. Let me rephrase that. And have you heard of the term permanent breakaway in the context of a team?
What do you mean by team?
A retail team, for example.
I don't recall that term.
What happens to a retailer's team if a leader leaves LuLaRoe?
Object, calls for speculation. Pardon me, lacks foundation.
Do you want to ask it a different way?
Do you understand the question?
Can you repeat that question?
What happens to a retailer's team if a leader leaves LuLaRoe?
When?
Let's start with today.
Same objection.
Let's talk about the cruise for a moment. What is the LuLaRoe cruise?
We have a cruise. It's an incentive trip for those that achieve it.
How do you achieve the cruise?
When?
Let's start in 2014.
I don't know if we had a cruise in 2014. If we did, I don't recall.
Let me find your document.
And if there was, I wasn't on it.
What's the first cruise you remember attending?
Actually, the first cruise that I remember, I was the one holding down the fort at LuLaRoe. My wife was pregnant, so we couldn't go.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And so that was the one I remember, but I believe there may have been one before that one.
Was that in 2015?
I'll see. My son's turning 5 this year, so it'd be 2015. Yeah. Nope, he's turning 6 this year, so it'd be 2014.
Okay. So 2014 is likely the one that you skipped.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because he was born in March.
When does the cruise typically occur?
Yeah, March, April. February, March, April. Around that time of year.
Wouldn't be good to deliver a baby on a boat.
No. Thank you.
What number is that?
227?
So I've just handed you Exhibit 227. LLR-WA 00023.
Hey, there it is. Yeah.
241. And then 228. I'm marking Exhibit 228, which is Bates numbered LLR-WA 000272330. Do you know who LuLaRoe Tina Toth is?
I don't recall.
Based on the context of an email, it appears that she may have been in IFR. Is that right?
Let me read the email.
Sure.
I would assume.
I want to talk for a moment about some of the expectations of being a mentor. Aside from the written requirements of achieving certain metrics, what other responsibilities does a mentor have with regards to their team?
We would hope that they would take an interest in each team member as much as they're capable of, as they get to know them as an individual and know why they chose LuLaRoe in this business and what they want to achieve and what their goal is. And in doing so, how they can assist, help, support any way possible to help that retailer achieve those goals.
Is the requirement that is what you just described also the expectation of coaches?
I would hope that that would be for anyone willing to, that wants to have a team, that they have an interest in their retailers, in helping them in this business.
So that hope or expectation that you just described, you would hope that all leaders would be interested in that.
Of course.
As part of that responsibility, are leaders responsible for answering the questions that someone on their downline or team might have about the independent fashion retailer program?
If they offer it.
Are leaders ever responsible for communicating official messages from LuLaRoe to their downlines?
We rely on our leaders to be able to share information that would be a benefit to all retailers, to be able to help everyone to succeed. We don't have a middle management department, and so therefore we rely on those leaders, and their bonuses are paid for them to help their team in any way possible, whether it's communication, whether it's education, whether it's an interest in them, and somehow to help them in what they want to achieve here at LuLaRoe.
Have you heard the term getting water to the end of the road?
Yes.
What does that term mean to you?
I think of a farmer. I think of a farmer planting corn. You ever see corn? There's rows and rows of corn. In each row, you have to water every single stalk of corn. And so you open the water gates at a certain point, and eventually the water starts going down each row, hopefully to the end of each row, to that very last stalk of corn. And in the same way, we think of that as communication, hoping that as we communicate maybe with retailers or leaders or whoever, mainly leaders, I would say, in this case, that they would therefore communicate those same things to the very down the line to each retailer, to the very last retailer, and therefore the concept of getting water to the end of the row.
Are you aware of any instances at your time at LuLaRoe in which messaging didn't make it from leaders to the end of the row?
I don't recall.
Did you ever have concerns about the messages that, for example, mentors were supposed to communicate getting distorted as they were getting communicated down to downline retailers?
Not that I recall.
Has LuLaRoe ever considered doing other channels of messaging aside from using mentors to communicate, for example, changes to policies?
We always have.
Okay. What kinds of communication methods have you used?
Email, webinar, phone calls, Facebook group pages,
Anything else?
retail, the back office, communication places, to give multiple channels for each retailer to know any updates, changes, communications, daily, weekly. It doesn't just go through leaders. It never does, never has. Thank you.
So I'm marking as Exhibit 229, LLR-WA 000-84194. So I want to ask you about that first text from Lauren Simpson. When Lauren, do you know what the sales and leadership team is?
Yes,
What is it?
it's the sales and leadership team.
Are you a member of the sales and leadership team?
I am.
Does Lauren lead the sales and leadership team?
A part of it.
Who else leads it?
I do.
Take a quick break.
We're going on the record at 3:49 p.m.